Started. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another social emotional workshop. Today we are with CARE of Southeastern Michigan. Joe and Teresa, we're glad to have you back. And today we're going to be talking about how many times must I tell you? You guys, welcome. We're so glad to have you.
Thank you, Tony.
Thank you.
Always glad to be here. Okay, so we'll get started then. And this is going to be interactive. So I hope there's enough people here today to answer questions when I ask, because I have some practice skills that I would like you guys to try. You can just answer in the chat if you want to, or, however Tony allows you to answer questions. But I need your participation because it'll make it more interesting. So I took this information out of our curriculum, our active parenting classes that we do. And I also took some from How to Talk So Kids Will Listen and Listen So Kids Will Talk, which is a great book. It is the two ladies who wrote it, Adele Faber and Elaine Maslish. They were my keynote speakers quite a few years ago. Well, I think it was even before I was the coordinator of the event, the conference event. And that's a great book to read. It's a quick read because she has all these comic strips in it and stuff, but it's good information. And a lot of it does reflect what we teach in the classes. So I'm going to start off here by asking you guys, what are some problems that you have when you're trying to communicate with your children, school age or teen, whatever they are? What are things that drive you crazy about them? Yesterday when I was doing this, one of the women said in my group that she'll talk to her 13-year-old and he won't even respond to her. He just acts like she's not there. He ignores her, but he won't even look at her. So I think that's one common one that a lot of people tell me about. Any other answers in there by any chance? Let me see. Here's one. Talking back. Okay. Yeah. Somebody mentioned that yesterday also. Another person told me yesterday that her child is very angry with her, won't come to the phone. These ladies were in a Sacred Heart Rehab Center. And so, their only contact lately has been to call their kids. And so when she calls the child on the phone, he won't talk to her. And so some of that's very painful. Some of it, I told them it's part of being an adolescent and trying to act like you're the man or the independent young teenage girl. And some of it, it could be some of the interactions that they've had with the parents. Sometimes it is us. And when it is us, it affects the way they respond to us. So, it's communication is about talking, giving instruction, needing help with something, wanting them to do something, but also it's about listening. And I had mentioned to them that, I don't know what goes on at their house. I don't know them that well, but possibly, how are they listening? How are they speaking to their child when their child talks to them? Because it's going to get reflected back. So I would like you to watch this video. And this is from our AP Teens class. When we just start to talk about communication, we share this video. And it's interesting because a lot of parents, including myself, and I know Joe also, Joe's a lecturer, that we'll see ourselves, our parents, our friends in this. So I'll be curious if you guys see yourself in this.
The
first step in opening the lines of communication with your teen is to avoid words, tone of voice, and nonverbal cues that discourage your teen from sharing his or her thoughts and feelings. These communication blocks, as they're called, rob your teen of courage and self-esteem and are surefire ways to build a wall between the two of you. Let's take a tongue-in-cheek look at some of the most familiar communication blocks and imagine how discouraged you would feel if you were Jada.
I can't believe it's already my junior year. I have no idea what I'm going to do after I graduate.
I tell you what you're going to do. You're going to go to college so you can get that diploma. So you better start practicing on that SAT.
But I don't know if I'll be ready for college.
Well, you probably won't do very well on the SAT anyway. So don't get your hopes up about college.
Gee, thanks a lot. But that's not what I meant. I was thinking maybe I could take a year off. Maybe I could get a job, save some money, maybe buy a car.
Who put that idea in your head? Was it that boy you've been spending so much time with?
I thought of it myself. Give me some credit, sheesh.
Now don't use that tone with us, young lady. It won't get you very far in life.
I'm sorry. I just wish you'd stop acting like I can't come up with my own ideas.
Well, I don't know about that, soldier. Was it your own idea when you got mixed up with those shoplifting buddies of yours?
That was ages ago, and I didn't have anything to do with it.
I wouldn't have been seen anywhere near kids like that when I was your age. It's obvious they haven't been brought up with good values.
Obviously.
I'm sensing a little latent hostility. Why don't you lie down and tell me the last time you started having these feelings of frustration and anger?
Well, I think it all began about 2 minutes ago.
Here's my advice for you, Jada. Focus all your attention on getting into the best college possible. Think bigger than summer jobs and cars. You need to be planning your career and setting long-term goals. And you need to grow up, get a work ethic, and stop feeling sorry for yourself. Next caller, please.
What's the use?
Well, that's a healthy attitude to have towards your future.
I'm so glad she felt she could share her little problem with us.
Me too. I wonder why she doesn't come to us for help more often.
Okay, so I don't know if you saw yourself in there. I saw my parents. I saw myself. And poor Jada, she's just in there trying to figure things out, what she's going to do. They might not have liked that idea of that gap year in there, but they didn't need to approve or disapprove at that point. She just really needed to talk out her ideas. And if they could have just processed that a little bit with her, they might have been able to show her how that could be dangerous down the road. But they didn't really give her a chance. They were too busy, psychologizing and commanding. And, at the end, they're a little bit condescending, her little problems. Well, if she can't talk to them about her little problems, who's she going to go to where she has big problems? So, it's okay that whatever comes out of her mouth isn't, the best thing in the world, the best idea in the world. But if they can just find a way to help her peel apart that confusion that she has, get to the inside of that onion, figure out what's behind all this confusion. What does she really want out of life? What are her plans for that gap year? Does she need a car or maybe help to pay for some college? So, it's okay that she might not have all the best ideas in the world. That's what we're there for. And I like that idea that just builds up a wall. Like I said, right now, she's just considering college and her next steps in life. What happens when the issue is drugs or having sex or any of those big things that come up once you're Jada's age? So one of the things that parents need to understand is, these might be a list of things that everybody, they already know, but how much do they practice them actually? Like making eye contact, especially when they're really young. under the age of 14. You got to make sure that they hear you. And a lot of times, if you're not looking at them and they're not looking at you, you don't know if they hear you or not. And then we have to pay attention, sit calmly, and keep an open mind. And if you can't do that, then at least, say to them, hey, I cannot give you my full attention right now, and I want to. So give me 5 minutes, finish this up, and we'll sit down and talk. Once you do that, because realistically, you can't always just jump to attention when they need you. But taking that little bit of extra time to show them that respect is going to hopefully be reflected back at you when your teenager gets angry or is overwhelmed or frustrated themselves. So hear them out and focus on what's being said and the message that they're trying to give you. Because we've said in these classes that kids don't always say their feelings. They, a lot of times, will act them out, especially boys, because we've feminized, listening and talking and problem solving. And so a lot of times boys won't talk about their feelings. And if they're not talking about their feelings, then they're not able to tell you how they feel, what they're doing, what they need. All they're doing is, acting out their feelings. And usually it's anger because, males are allowed to feel anger because it's powerful. They're not allowed to, cry or feel sad or unhappy or anything like that. So a lot of times you're going to need some skills to peel apart that anger and figure out, what is going on with this boy. And so being non-judgmental is going to help. They need to be able to be angry as long as they're not hurting you or themselves or the environment. There's nothing wrong with anger. So we have to try to calm ourselves. We're the adults and show them what it looks like when you're dealing with somebody who's angry and not in control. Listening isn't looking out your window or looking at your shoe. If there's nothing that makes somebody feel unimportant, then you looking around and seeing what's going on around you instead of giving them eye contact. I can't tell you how many times I've been grocery shopping when my kids were little and also as an adult, when kids are talking to their parents and they're looking at the shelves, little ones coming up, talking to their parent, and they're just ignoring them. And it's disrespectful. And I wouldn't do that to my best friend. Why would I want to do that to my child? And also, people think they can multitask, but you really can't. If you're looking at something else and thinking about that, you're not really understanding what's being said. You might hear what they're saying, but you can't really understand how they feel. If you're thinking about what you're going to say back, you're also missing the boat here. If you're fidgeting, making up your mind before you even hear the facts, keep that open mind, at least listen. They might actually have something important to say or a problem solving idea that can help a situation. Interrupting, we all know how irritating that is. And too much of that, like interrupting, not being respectful, they're just going to shut down. Why should I talk to you? And when I talked to that one mother who had that young son, Dominic, who was 13 or 14, and he wouldn't answer her, wouldn't even look at her, I said to her, I don't know what goes on in at your house, but he might be reflecting what you've done in the past to him. And she said, well, if I'm going to be honest, yeah. She said, sometimes I just know that what he's talking about is not important to me. He's talking about music or he's talking about his friends, and I've got important things to do, And so there may have been a lot of times when I didn't look at him thinking, I can hear you. I've got to do this other stuff. Concentrating on the speaker, how the speaker's talking rather than what's being said. Part of that is important. You do have to listen to their tone, and you do have to look at their body language and listen to that. But also we need to actually do listen to their words and put it together with that tone and body language. Looking bored or frustrated, it's the same thing as interrupting and fidgeting, and judging them too before they've actually had a chance. Like when Jada was trying to talk about that gap year, she's just trying to think like, what are my options? And like I said, her parents could have said, okay, you could do that. And, then what would that mean? What would that mean about going to college? What else could you do besides, not going away to university? Could you go to a local college and also have a job and save money? So, they were pretty quick to judge what she was saying and not give her a chance to really explain herself. And so how do we do that? If we want to peel that onion apart, figure out what's, causing this, like I said, we have to listen to their body language and their tone, because they don't always talk with their words. They, a lot of times, will talk with their body language. And, you guys could walk into a room where I am, and you could say, hi, Teresa, how are you? And I'm standing like this, and I say, I'm fine. My voice, my body language in my face, crossing my arms and then barking at you, with a loud voice, that tells you I'm not fine. So when you would do that, take all those components and put them together, how is this child feeling? With their arms like this, and their brow furrowed, and their voice just, barking like that sounds like anger. So then all you have to do is take that and put it into this sentence right here. You sound angry. Now, you don't know why I'm angry because you just met me, or you don't know why your child is angry, but that's okay. If you don't have that part, leave it out. But you could just say, you sound angry. Now, I want to give you an example of this. When I got separated from my husband, my daughter was 15. And I moved out of the house, and they stayed in this house, with their dad. And I moved like a block or so away. It wasn't that far. You could walk over to where I was. And I had came to pick up my daughter. We went shopping at Lakeside. It's just 15 years ago. Lakeside was still hopping, and went out to eat. And then I pull up in her driveway, and I said, okay, Leah, I guess I'll see you sometime this week. I'll call you. And she turned around and she said, sometimes I really hate you. Just out of nowhere. 2 minutes ago, we were talking about, the music on the radio and what we bought at Lakeside, and, that great meal, Italian meal that we just had. Now she's angry. What is that? I don't know the because part. I just said, okay, so you sound angry. And she goes, yeah, you're never home at night. I can never get a hold of you. When I get home from school, you're not home. When I call you, I get your voicemail. When, when I need to talk to somebody, there's nobody around. Dad doesn't talk to me. Luke doesn't talk to me, her brother. The dog doesn't even talk to me or listen to me. I got nobody to talk to. And you didn't ask me to leave. You didn't ask me to move out with you, and you left. So that anger was covering. What it was covering was, abandonment. She felt abandoned. Now, I could tell her, Leah, I work at night because I teach parenting classes. I don't have money for a cell phone, so that's why you get my landline voicemail. I could have told her multiple things, but it wasn't about me. It wasn't necessary for me to be defensive. What was necessary is finding out why this child was so hurt and angry. So I didn't solve it or blame it or advise, nothing. I just said, you sound really angry at me. And so then after I heard her say that, I said, well, okay, so it sounds like you feel abandoned because I left and didn't take you with me. And, she just started crying. She cried for about probably 10 minutes, and I was holding her hand, while she did. And then when everything calmed down, I said, Leah, I have a 1-bedroom apartment. You have to sleep with me or sleep on the couch. She goes, Mama, I would have slept on the floor. I just wanted you to ask me, So I said, okay, fine. Go get your stuff. We're going to go, you're going to move in with me tonight, but, we'll move everything else in on the weekend. Let's go tell Dad. And so if I had blamed her or chastised her and said, how dare you speak to me that way? How dare you tell me you hate me? We don't use that kind of word in this family. We don't hate each other. Families should never hate each other. You're probably just mad. You're not really angry at me. You know, the wall would have came up, you know. So that's not necessary. I don't have to address her words. I don't have to make her feel bad about them. She already feels bad. Her family was falling apart. I don't have to shut her down. I need to hear what this is about. Because I had addiction in my family. I wasn't going to go down that road. And when kids are feeling bad, you don't know what they're going to do when they're feeling bad and they're desperate. So this is where I want you guys to at least, you know, give this a shot. We don't have to do all 4 of these, but this is an important skill. And so I would like you guys to pick one, you know, and they pretty much tell a story, you know, what's going on there. So there's your because right there. So if you could just, you know, look at that kid, maybe look at their body language because you don't have anything else to go on right now. And at least one person, give it a shot. You can see the little recipe on the top. You sound or you look or you feel, and then you would insert there what you think that child is feeling and then why you think they might be feeling that way. So could someone give that a shot? Okay. If Nabe would like to try that. Tony. I hope I said your name right.
It's Zainab, but it's close enough.
Okay, thank you.
The lower right-hand side, I would approach a child and say, you look happy because you won the game playing with your sister.
Okay, great. Yes, it's wonderful. And I'm glad you picked that one because this is not like a discipline tool. It helps when there is a discipline issue, but it should also be for something happy like that. You know, when they look that happy and they're all glowing like she is, you know, they need to know that you see that their parents see them being happy. Thank you for trying that. Anybody else want to give it a shot? And I just want to say too that you don't have to be right. You know, what if you're wrong? What if you know, the one on the left-hand bottom, if you said, you look really angry because you have to come in for dinner, but he's not angry because of that. He's angry because somebody just made fun of him, teased him. You know, is that so bad? The underlying message there is, I see you, I see how you feel, and I care about you. That's what the underlying message is. So hopefully that boy will go, no, not mad because of dinner. Jeremy just called me a name. He called me a blah, blah, blah. You know, so it sounds like you feel hurt because your friend was mean to you. And then see that little period at the end, right in front of the quotation? That's important. That means don't talk. Once you say that, let it be uncomfortable and awkward because that's when they start filling. They'll start filling in, and that's when the doors open. All this information comes out. And if you keep your face nice and neutral, because remember, that's part of communication. If your face looks neutral, they might tell you more. You know, they might tell you things that are important that you need to hear. Okay. So just keep in mind that that's the first step. It's not going to solve anything. It's not going to make your world perfect or their world perfect. But if you're, you know, if you guys are going on this communication journey together, you better make sure you're on the same train, right? So you want to do this before anything else to make sure that, you know, everybody's on this in the same train, same car on the train, so that you're going in the right direction. So whether it's discipline or whether you just want to talk, this is a good. So what about when you have to talk to them about their behavior? You know, how you say it is more important than what you say, because just like I said a few minutes ago, the words "I'm fine" are only 10% of your communication. The folded arms, the furrowed brow, that's 50%. That barking, yelling that I did, that was the other 40%. So kids are so great at body language and reading it. That's what dogs do too. When they see you walk in the room, if you look angry because you're looking at the pillow that's been torn up, they don't know they did anything wrong. They're not even thinking about that pillow. They see that thunderous look upon your face. That's what kids do too when they walk in the room. They see thunder and lightning right there. And, you might not even be aware of it. I have a natural tendency to RBF. And so everybody always thinks that I'm mad about something, but I'm usually thinking, ruminating over something. And, that's why I look that way. So, when my kids talk to me about something, I have to make sure that make sure my face looks okay. Is it calm? Is it neutral? Is my voice sounding neutral? So that it generates that discussion between the two of us. And the reason that's important too is because, they're thinking with their emotional brain, which is in the middle. That's been developed and ready to go since they were a year old. But see that pink part on that picture? That's their executive center of their brain. It's right behind their forehead. And so, that's where their self-awareness is. So they might not even be aware that they have this problem of ignoring you when you talk to them. They honestly might not be aware of that. They might not have very much empathy for the fact that you're talking to them, and they should feel bad about ignoring you. That part of their brain is not going to get developed till they're 25 years old. Doesn't mean they can't go there, but a lot of times they don't because it's not developed. Also, their auditory system isn't fully developed till they're 14. So, you have this child sitting in front of the TV or playing on his gaming system. You walk in there and you say, Nick, I need you to shut that off and come in and eat dinner. And they don't look at you. They don't see you. They don't even hear you. In all actuality, they might not even hear you because, that auditory system is not fully developed, and they're into their emotional brain, which is saying, wow, this is so fun. I don't want to stop playing this game. And so you don't have their full attention, and they literally might not hear you. So that's why it's important to get in front of them, look them right in the eye and say, Nick, I need you to shut that off and come and eat your dinner. Doesn't mean that they're going to jump up and do it, but at least they heard you now. And we'll talk in a minute about what to do if they don't get up. But, if you are dealing with an adolescent, just make sure you make that eye contact. Make sure they're looking at you. Make sure you talk slower and enunciate well, and they are more likely to hear you than not hear you. And if it's something that's really important, I learned with my son, make sure they repeat it back to you. So if it was something really important, I would have to say, Lucas, this is what I want you to do, blah, 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 blah. So do you agree to that? And can you repeat back to me what you think I mean? Because if not, Lucas would say, well, I thought you just meant the months that ended Y. I didn't know you meant it right now and every day. So, he's just being a smart aleck. But that's why I would have him repeat things to me. And if it was really important, like we made up a driving contract when he was 16 and his grandfather gave him a beater for $1, we wrote up a contract with consequences and rules. And we fit the consequence to the rule. And then we went through that with his input, because that's important too. And then I said to him, so Lucas, what does this mean to you? Tell me what you see here and what it means. So we went through it and he repeated it and then he signed it. And so did I, because his dad and I made rules about, being careful drivers, not drinking and driving, blah, 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 all that stuff. So, we signed it too as good role models. And then I laminated that puppy and I put it up on the refrigerator so that he could see it. So I never had to really talk about it. I would just point to the refrigerator. But, that was something really, really important because he was 16 or 17, starting to drive a car. kind of made me crazy. So, what? What, Luke?
I want to point out something.
Okay, go ahead.
It sounds, I'm all distorted. Can you guys hear me? It sounds weird.
No, I hear you.
Okay. So I wanted to point out the way you said that when you said, Lucas, repeat back what you think I mean. Because I know a lot of parents who say, repeat back what I said. And they may be able to parrot back exactly what you said, but you put it in a phrase that says, what does this mean to you? What is your perception of what I just told you? And I really like the way you presented that, because too many parents says, repeat back exactly what I said, and that's not effective.
Yeah, and I knew I was dealing with the trickster mind, because he literally did say that to me one time, something like, something, I can't remember exactly what it was, but he was always making stuff up like that. I thought you meant the month with Y's in it, being a smart aleck. And I had to keep my face calm. Okay, I'm not going to react to this. So I had to know what it meant to him. Those rules are important.
And I've heard that some kids can repeat back exactly what you said, but that doesn't mean that they retained it, that they knew what it meant. They'll just repeat the words back and really not know what it meant to them.
Yeah.
Or what is expected from them.
Exactly. I agree.
Cool.
Oops. Okay. So this is actually I liked this idea too. This is actually from that book. This is what I mean about her using comics. The dad on the left, how many times do I have to tell you to turn off the bathroom light? What is that saying about that boy? What's kind of the underlying message there that he's conveying to that boy? Instead of just the lights on in the bathroom. Now, at the bottom, it says it's hard to do what needs to be done when people are telling you what's wrong with you. So in that first one on the left, basically he's telling him, you idiot, how many times do I have to tell you? And, when it says when grownups, describe the problem, it gives the child a chance to tell themselves what to do. So yeah, you probably have to tell them 6, 7, 8 times. But a typical child has to be usually told things 6, 7, 8 times, before it clicks in their head, especially when they're younger. And then if it doesn't, there could be consequences for that too. But, we don't want to go there right away. Because first of all, if it does matter the way that you say things to them. And so this is kind of what I meant when I talked about sometimes it's us. Because sometimes we inadvertently talk disrespectfully to our kids. I would never say to my friends, how many times did I tell you not to spill your wine when you're sitting at my table? You just got my tablecloth all full of red. Now, how am I going to, I would never say that. I'd be like, oh, mistakes happen. It's okay. Don't worry about it. But for some reason, I don't know if it's because we're just overwhelmed. We have so much to do. We may have issues of our own. Lights on. Okay, that was the last straw. Now I'm pissed. How many times do I have to tell you? So it happens. Nobody's perfect. But if you can catch yourself and think about, how would I want to be addressed if I left the bathroom light on? That could be part of the reason why kids just tune us out. So when we have to talk to them, besides watching the way that we present what we're going to say, and watching our tone and our body language, the message that you deliver, a you message, is also important to think about, because it's so easy to use a you message. What's the matter with you? Why can't you ever be on time? You are always getting up late and missing the bus. What is your problem? You should know better. I have to go to work. Why are you always making me late for work? Those are all you messages. And, perception's everything. They don't have that ability up here to be empathic. So all they're thinking is, you think I'm an idiot. You think I'm always late. You think I don't know how to take care of myself. You think I'm a baby.
She's always in my face.
Yeah. Yep. So if they get enough of that, They might begin to just kind of, what do you call that? Put up a wall. There's a term I'm trying to think of, but I can't think of it. Zone out. Or they might start fighting with you, and you might get some of that back in your face. So your messages only discourage cooperation, and they also make the kid feel bad too. So what is the point of that? So when we have to tell them how their behavior affects us, we have to use an I message. So in the previous skill, you were using a you message because that child needed to talk to you. That child had a big feeling behind something that happened. That child was scared or maybe felt helpless. Now, because you are the one that has the issue or the problem or the feeling, you have to use an I message. And so you've probably heard of these before. But the point of it is to communicate how you feel without blaming or shaming. And so it also helps children understand what it means to be accountable, because you're not saying you always make me late. You're saying, when I'm late for work, I feel worried because my boss is watching me. I don't want to get in trouble. Instead of saying, what is the matter with you? Why can't you turn off the light when you come out of the bathroom? When the bathroom's light is on, I feel angry because it's shooting up our electric bill. I need you to turn it off when you come out. So if it becomes a problem, if you've told that child 7 or 8 times, but bathroom light is on, and they're not responding, then would come an I message. So Eddie, when the light's on all the time like this, I feel frustrated or angry because the light bill is going to go up. It's an expense we don't need. And so that's what I want you guys to practice again and just give it a shot. Maybe, we could try a couple of these. So there's a messy room. Does anybody want to give that one a shot? All you got to do is put what the event is. I'll do an example this one. When the room is a mess. So you don't want to say when you make a mess in the room, because now you're turning an I message into a you message. So just, what do you see there? Well, when I see the room a mess, I feel, well, what would you feel? If it was me, I would look at that and I would be frustrated because it makes the house look like a mess. Or I might feel worried because somebody might step on one of those little tiny pieces and hurt their foot. So that's what I kind of would like you guys to try with the next picture. Somebody would try this one. Your teenager or your adolescent is in their room, supposed to be doing their homework, because that's what they agreed to, but they're not. Homework's untouched while they're on their technology, their screen. What do you think? Somebody give that a shot? Go ahead.
Okay, so for the homework one, I would say, I feel concerned because your homework has remained untouched and I feel concerned that you may fall behind.
Okay, good. That's a good one. Either one of those. You don't have to use both. You could just use one. Or you can use both like that. That's okay. And what she did too was she didn't use the when part. And, I only put it in there so that people can get used to that, but you could start it out. I feel concerned that your grades are going to fall, but she needs to know why you're concerned. So sometimes it is important to put that. When I don't see homework getting done, I feel worried because your grades could fall. Could somebody else try this one? It looks like they're having fun, but let's say they're not. Let's say they're fighting. How would someone use an I message here? Don't worry about getting it perfect. It's okay. Just want you to give it a shot. Okay. Let's see. Somebody might have wrote it.
Yes, it's in the chat.
Yes. When you guys are fighting like that, I get worried because one of you might get seriously hurt. Okay. Let me, Joseph, make a little suggestion here, is to try to make it short and sweet if you can. When there's fighting, I get worried someone could get hurt. Just real short and sweet. But that is a good one. That's a very good one. How about, anybody want to try this one? That looks like an adolescent or a teenager. And I know that people have experienced this. So would someone like to give it a shot? Might be hard to not use the word you here, but just tell what you're experiencing. So let me start it out. When I hear yelling, it could be the start, or it could be something else. Anybody want to give that one a shot?
When I hear yelling, I feel worried because I'm afraid someone may be hurt.
You mean by the words that they say?
I was just assuming they were just yelling. We didn't know what reason they were yelling for.
Okay, so that's good because you don't know what that reason is. Yeah, that's a good one. Yep. One time when my son was 13, he was yelling at me, and I could feel myself getting angry. And I was going to withdraw from the argument because, there's no talking to a 13-year-old when they're angry. You can call me a name or anything. He's just being a smart aleck and, telling me what he was going to do and what he wasn't going to do. So I just said, when I hear disrespectful talk, I feel hurt because I don't deserve to be talked to that way. I'm going to bed. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Not willing to talk right now. So that was a lot of words, but I wanted him to understand that I was withdrawing from the fight. I wasn't going to go to that party. So, any one of those is a good way to start off. And like I said, even if you don't use the when part, that's okay. As long as you say, I feel, because that's showing accountability. That's taking the shame and the blame away from what they did.
Teresa.
Yeah.
To sneak the last skill that you went over to preface this. Wow, you are really angry right now. Although when I hear screaming, I feel overwhelmed because it's not effective communication, or because it gets me angry, it gets me defensive.
Yeah.
So putting those both together with the reflective listening and the I message in tandem with each other.
Yeah.
Okay, what about if the last one was not an angry yell? Say the young lady is upstairs and she's yelling to a family member downstairs to bring something or do something, but the parent has instructed, don't yell, use the intercom. I'm trying to, what if it's that way? How would you then phrase the message, the sentence?
Well, I wouldn't use this sentence for that, actually, because if I had talked to them and I had said, I have an agreement with them to use the intercom or to come down and speak to me directly, and they did it, I wouldn't even answer them. Because that seems so disrespectful to scream at somebody from another room, hey, that type of thing. And I wouldn't do it, without saying, hey, okay, when they're screaming from upstairs because you need something, I feel, frustrated because we've got an intercom. So,
Okay.
you can either come down and talk to me, or, I won't hear you. Meaning I'm not going to that part.
Okay, that's good.
That makes sense. Yeah. Because you've already let them know ahead of time. I'm not going to do that. And that's kind of what we're going to talk about right here. That's why those stars are on there, because a lot of times, like, you could say that, And that was a good segue, Tony, because that would be a consequence. If Tony said, we have an intercom, so, come down and talk to me, or, I can't hear you because, that's not our agreed upon way to talk to each other on different levels of the house, then they already know if you're not answering, it's because of that. You'll remind them. That's a consequence, a logical consequence. Then when they come down, Ma, did you hear me yelling up there? Yes, as a matter of fact, I did. But I thought if it was really important, you use the intercom. So I thought I'd just, let it go. Have you come down here and talk to me. I don't think that's being a smart aleck. I think that's something we agreed on earlier. So I was just going to follow through. And that's one of the most important things you can do with logical consequences, follow through. Instead of like Tony standing there, I told you I'm not coming, now she's yelling up to them. I'm not coming up there until you use the intercom. Or you come down here and talk to me. Now, we're not sticking with what we said we were going to do. And so, okay, she says stuff like that all the time. I don't have to listen to her. See, there's another reason why I have to tell you so many times, because you don't really mean what you say. You say, use that intercom or come down here, but then you'll stand on the bottom of the stairs and yell at me, use the dang intercom. They've already got you. They know you don't mean what you say. It's what you mean. So we're going to talk about like a logical consequence, because that, like I say, that's one of the reasons kids don't listen to us. Why do I have to tell you so many times? Well, maybe we don't follow through on our consequences. And so we're not going to use these consequences to beat them up with or hit them over the head. We're going to use these consequences for them to think about, what they're doing and why they're doing it and how they can make it better. So we're going to take those two instances there. And we're going to think about those two little boys. When you want to stop something, like two little boys fighting, or somebody yelling at you, or somebody roughhousing too much, when you want to stop something, you use an either or, just like I did with Tony there. You can either use the intercom or, come down and tell me yourself. Otherwise, I won't be hearing you. I think that's respectful, and it's actually related to what she just told them to do. The other one, when you want to start something, like somebody not doing their homework, which was the star, or somebody not putting their shoes on before they go outside and play. Oops. All right, I'm sorry. I thought I was going to have the other thing come up. So when you want to stop something, those two little boys fighting, either solve your problems without fighting, or you're going to need to play in different rooms. Or if it's two brothers, that would be good for them. But if it was a friend that came over and they started fighting like that, you could say either solve your problems without fighting, or Jimmy's going to have to go home when we can try again later or tomorrow morning. And that's not the end of it either. This is not the whole thing of consequences, because, after they were in their room and they could calm down, say 10, 15 minutes, or whenever they came out. Some kids can calm down faster. Or after Jimmy had left, we could sit down and we could say, hey, why were you and Jimmy fighting? He took my toy without asking. Okay, so what else could you do? Just like when Jada's parents were talking to her, she wanted to take that gap year. Well, okay, so what if you took the gap year and you didn't go to university? What do you think will happen? What would happen if you went to the Oakland University and then went to Michigan State? How do you think that? See, that's just brainstorming, because chances are Jada's going to come up with some other problem in her young life, or those two fighting boys are going to have another problem where they're going to fight. If we just send them to different rooms or send Jimmy home, what's going to happen the next time they have a problem? We want them to start thinking. Think now so that you know how to solve your problems. And so you don't want it to just be an either or. You want it to be, what could you do instead next time Jimmy takes your toy without asking? How is that going to work out? And you're probably going to get, I don't know. Yeah, probably will. And it might be because they've never been asked to solve their own problem before. It might be because they're afraid you're going to laugh at them. It might be because, they actually don't know. So give them a few minutes to think about it. Let them go away, think about it, ruminate on it, mull it over, talk about it after dinner. So, hey, do you have any ideas now? If they come up with one idea, that's good. That's wonderful. If they say, I feel I should be able to punch Jimmy in the face freely whenever I feel like it. You don't have to go, please, Nick, what kind of an idea is that? Because chances of you getting another idea are gone. So, you could say, well, that's an idea, but what would happen if you did? Well, he'd probably punch me back. Yeah. Is that what you want? Or did you want to just play with the toy or have him ask you to play with it? So what else could you do? How about if you and Jimmy, talked about asking when you want to use one of my toys, something like that. But they should come up with the idea first, and just don't disparage them if they have a goofy idea, because they're kids. They're thinking outside the box. They don't think like we do in the box. And so anything's possible with them. And they might even be excited to say that. Because Luke said to me one time when I asked him to brainstorm with me about homework, he said, well, why don't you just do it? Okay, well, I could. Well, what would happen? Well, it would get done, Mom. Yeah, it would. But how do you think I would feel? And I don't know. Well, I'd feel pretty crappy because that's a lie. I'm not going to lie. So how else could we solve this problem? So that's stopping something. Now we're going to do starting. So that little girl or the adolescent, whatever she was, laying on her bed, not getting her homework done. When you want to start something, would anybody like to try this one before I pop up the blue words? Margaret?
When you start your homework or finish your homework, then you can have free time.
Yes, Margaret, thank you. That's it. That's exactly what I wrote. When you get your homework done, you can use the computer. So then you go in there and she's still playing around. Then you want to stop something. Okay. So Nick, either turn your computer off or I will, you decide. So, if you want them to start something and you come back and they still didn't do it, then you can, get them to stop something. So you can use either one of those for any kind of situation, especially with little kids, under like 5 years old. They think when you say no, that you mean it for eternity. Can I have a cookie? No, we're going to eat dinner. They think, oh my gosh, I'll never have another cookie again. And then they throw themselves out. But if you said, well, when you get done with dinner, then you can have a cookie, they're hearing you can have a cookie. They hear those words. That's why like a lifeguard at a pool, they won't say don't run because the kid hears run, take off. They'll say walk because they know the kid's going to pick up on that word. The same thing with this. When you get done with dinner, then you can have a cookie. Oh, I can have a cookie. All right. Doesn't mean eternity anymore. So it tends to be effective with really little kids. And also I think with teenagers too, because they like to, their brains are the same way. They're not up here, they're back here. I really want to play on my technology right now. They're so into those feelings. And so when you say no, of course, they're going to fight you. But if you say, when you get your homework done, then you can have this back, then they get it, in their head. So here's what I was just talking about, that brainstorming. So acknowledge their feelings. You want to use that first skill. So you look like you're really upset because you can't have your technology. What are you going to do to fix this? I don't know, Mom. Think about it. What are you going to do? Okay, I'll finish my homework. Great. That works for me too. So let me know when you're done. We'll do this. I went through a whole 3 days of this with Luke being late for school when he was about 8. Because I wasn't waking him up anymore. His behavior of turning off the alarm or not getting up when I called him was starting to become a problem. And so, I won't go through the whole story, but for 3 days, it's like, Luke, you're going to school right now without breakfast. What are you going to do to fix this? I don't know, Mom. And he'd run out the door because now the neighbors coming down to walk with him. All right. So when he came home from school, Luke, any ideas how you can eat breakfast in the morning? No. All right. I'm not going to push it. Next day, he got up and he grabbed a protein bar, but he still didn't have his hair combed or his teeth brushed. Okay, so what could you do? Anyway, we went through that whole process for like 3 days. Finally, he gets up, gets ready, bam, he's done. It's not time to walk down there yet. So, he says, what can I do? And I was like, hey, what do you want to do? I want to watch SpongeBob SquarePants. Great. You got about 15, 20 minutes before Jimmy comes down the street, and I'll let you know. So he got his own logical consequence out of that. So I hope we have time for this last part. Another reason kids aren't always cooperative is because they don't think and feel very good about themselves. Self-esteem is how you feel about yourself. I feel effective. I feel happy. I feel smart. Concept is what you think about yourself. I think I'm a good math student. I think I'm, good at raising my hand and asking questions, whatever. Those two things together give you your self-worth. But a lot of times kids have problems with that because, the type of encouragement that we're giving them. And I have about 3 minutes, but I think you can see this. I want you to see this video. I don't think it's that long. Whoops. Let's see. Okay, it's not working. Shoot. But if you go on YouTube and you YouTube that, the Swaddle, SWADGLE, it's a good video. It's about growth mindset, about how we praise, for lack of a better word, our kids. But what they're really talking about is not praise. Oh, there it is. Let's see if we can watch it. Oh, it's 3 minutes. Well, let's try anyway. We got 2.
You're praising your kid all wrong. It's not.
The audio just dropped out on my end.
Not your fault you're doing it wrong. You probably relish the exact same praise. You're clever. You're the best. You're gorgeous. And you're giving your child encouragement and self-confidence, right? Well, you're not. This type of praise focuses on what the child is, which in theory sounds great. All parents want their kids to be and feel smart, beautiful, and strong. But in practice, this type of praise fosters what is called a fixed mindset. I am, therefore I am. The problem with this I am mindset is that it doesn't accommodate any explanation of failure, and it doesn't allow any opportunity of getting better with effort. You are who you are, and there's just no changing it. A fairly binary and rigid paradigm if you think about it. When you're 4 or 5 or 10 or 13, and you've been told all of your very short life that you are a particular thing, you tend to cling to doing that thing well, rather than trying new things you may not be so good at. A child praised for being smart starts to see mistakes as personal flaws. They may even avoid exploring new subjects or trying new skills they're not good at, lest they appear not smart. And that, parent, is the sound of praise blowing up in your face. So what does good praise sound like? It focuses on actions that a child can control, like trying, hard work, or perseverance. This kind of praise sends the message that the child can learn with exploration, effort, and strategy. It instills what psychologists call a growth mindset. That is, a mindset that allows for change. Failure can become success, weakness can become strength, confusion can become intelligence. Suddenly, challenges become exciting opportunities instead of terrifying failure traps. And here's the secret. Your kid loves any kind of praise you provide, so she won't notice the difference. Ready to start instilling some growth mindset? Here's how you do it. Stop focusing on outcomes or personal traits, and instead comment on the effort, strategy, creativity, or struggle the child experienced. If your kid doesn't know what behavior or attitude you're praising, then they'll never be able to do it again. Tell stories of hard work, commitment, endurance, and persistence so she learns these things are more valuable than luck or talent. Very few people become the best at anything without years of hard work, dedication, and many, many failures in between. You really have to mean what you say, particularly around failure, or it kind of doesn't count. So swallow that disappointment when your kid comes home with a bad grade. Help him pivot into problem-solving mode and frame it as a challenge to work harder for the next exam. Too much of any kind of praise can make a kid expect it all the time, which kind of defeats the point. So give praise strategically. You probably knew this one was coming. Are you modeling a growth mindset in your own life? Does your child see you accepting and learning from your mistakes? Does she see you persevering towards your goal despite obstacles? Or do you throw in the towel anytime someone says you're not the best, prettiest, smartest person in the whole world? Congratulations! We really like how you stuck with this video all the way through. That showed perseverance. Keep it up.
Okay.
She encouraged us at the end. I like that.
Yeah. So, you got this here, summary. We know to be clear and specific, ask questions, reflect back. It's that I mess or you feel thing. Stay calm, tell them how their behavior affected you without blaming. That's the I message. Work towards understanding and encourage their strengths. So we did pretty good because I think it's only like a minute after. So that's good. I'm glad you got to see that. Any questions? Any thoughts about that from anyone?
I really liked that video, and it reminds me of a lot of other things that I've been studying recently because I'm doing a certification in ABA, Applied Behavioral Analysis, for kids with autism and disabilities. And it made a good point at the end of the video when they said to stop using the same praise. And it's similar to something we studied about how people can become like satiated with the same reinforcer, and it doesn't really get the job done anymore. They kind of get bored of hearing or receiving the same type of reinforcement. And so it kind of reminded me of that. And I really liked how the video implemented that idea.
Yeah. It can become blasé. They hear it. Good job, good girl. Good job, good girl. Yeah. Doesn't mean anything. Yeah. Well, thanks, you guys. I met Margaret and Joseph and Zainab. Did I say it right again?
Just call me Z. It's Zainab, but everybody calls me Z.
Okay, Z. Thank you guys for participating. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
You're
All
welcome.
right. Well, thank you, Joe and Teresa. Excellent presentation as always. And thank you guys for joining. Margaret, did you have a comment?
I just wanted to say thank you.
Oh, you're welcome, Margaret. I appreciate your participation.
And the good thing about this presentation is that it can be utilized with children, adolescents, as well as adults, because I saw a lot of adult scenarios in there that were applicable for those occasions and events. So it just covers the entire spread,
It does. When my mom had dementia, and when I went through my divorce, I used a lot of these skills, and I think it helped all of us, me and my ex-husband and my mother and I, when she was going through it. So yeah, these are people skills.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you guys again, and everybody have a great day.
Thanks. You guys too.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.